This is the Last Minute Blues Podcast with Donny, Alex, Jeremy, and Jeff Burton.
It is the Last Minute Blues Podcast. Donny Fandango joined in this unbelievable studio for the podcast with Alex Ferrario from 101 ESPN, Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic. He always boos himself, and he's the nicest guy. And we are so unbelievably thrilled to be joined by special assistant to the general manager, but will be taking over as the general manager next season, Blues Stanley Cup winner, Mr. Alex Steen. It's wonderful to have you here, sir.
Thanks for having me, guys.
That's where the applause, JR, is.
Yeah.
You boo yourself, we applaud him.
Did I get the title right, though?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Long title.
I was really afraid in which that I was going to screw that up and we were going to be off to a bad start from the get-go. So I'm glad. Alex, it's really great to have you here. And one of the first things that I kind of thought about when I knew that you were going to be here with us was when you got traded here to St. Louis in 2008 from Toronto.
Yeah.
What were your initial reactions? Did you know much about St. Louis? Were you happy to be traded here? I always just sort of get the general sense as a guy from St. Louis that when people are traded here, their first sort of inclination is either where and like a combination maybe of those two. Yeah. So what did you think when you first knew that you were coming here?
Well, for the initial shock first, I think there was, I kind of felt something was probably coming in Toronto, but there's always once it becomes real, it's a little shock to the system. But then I think the unknown, I didn't know much. At the time, the league was playing, we were playing 8 times against our own division opponents. So you only spend 1 time in the West or they would come to you once. So I'd only been to St. Louis, I think once. And even though I'd been in the league for 3 years.
Wow.
And Donny, I remember when the trade was made, I think I got a phone call, an alert, and that's pre-Twitter. Gosh, you've been here for a long time. Yeah. I got an alert that said the Blues have made a trade, and the radio station called me and they wanted some quick reaction. And the first thing I could think of when I read Carlo's last name is, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this. So I'm here to ask you, can you spell Koliakovo? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I can.
The stare off into the distance told you exactly what you needed to know. That's the part, though, that for me, when you think about guys that get traded, and I didn't even think of that to where you were only coming here once a year. But when you come to St. Louis with another team, it's not you come to St. Louis and you get to explore the city. It's you come to St. Louis, you go to the hotel, you go to the rink, you maybe go get dinner, and then you play the game, and then you're in a plane and you're gone. So there's not a whole lot of discovering cities when you're a player.
Yeah, and I think we flew in the time I was here. I remember it, though, because I remember walking back to the hotel with Nicky Antropov and I think it was Ponikarovsky. And we had eaten dinner at Mike Shannon's there. And yeah. So I do remember the time I was here, but yeah, a lot of unknowns. The first thing I looked at was, who's on the team that I knew. And obviously Walt from Winnipeg and played with Danny Heinout. And there's a couple connections here and there that, and obviously traveling there with Carlo made it easier. But it for me, reflecting, looking back on it, obviously I didn't know it at the time, but what an impact it was going to have on me. And it was probably the exact thing I needed at that time, just career-wise, personal, how my personality fit with the city. I think was a big help for me, and Walt and all these guys taking the support I got right off the bat coming here. The alumni got involved with me, right away. Yeah. So it was a great fit for me. It allowed me just to play. Even I went through, it wasn't total smooth sailing. It was trying to find your way a little bit in the lineup and with the team and with the city But once I kind of found my rhythm in it, it was, what a treat it was to play here.
I picture somebody telling Mike Shannon that the new gguy's here, and he walks, okay, big boy. Big boy.
I recommend the shrimp for you.
So I want to fast forward a bit to 2019 and the Stanley Cup team. Yeah. As a Blues fan, I cannot tell you in words that it was one of the greatest few weeks of my entire life. Watching you guys march through the West and then take on Boston, stop it, all right? But one of the things in which that I want to ask specifically about that team and about you was that, your role on that team was a little different than maybe it had been in years past. And if I'm not mistaken, and please correct me, Coach Berube had came to you to kind of talk about where you would be playing, which would be on the 4th line. And can you kind of explain to that? But it seems as though, from an outsider, from a fan, that you took a bit of an overall lesser role, but still a super important role for that team, but not necessarily a role that every player would be okay with taking. Am I kind of in the ballpark there?
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see.
Donny likes the Blues.
I saw it.
Yeah, it's why I love playing here, why I love living here. It's I do remember, like, the great thing about Chief is he's very black and white. There's no real emotion behind anything. It's the team's best interest. So every time he comes to you and approaches you about an idea or asks you your opinion, it's because he wants what's best for the team. So it's so easy to, without having to go into great detail with him on stuff, why he's doing something. It's coming from, a place of care and something that he really believes in. So at the time, there wasn't much, you try and find the positives in everything that, so how am I going to be able to impact the game? How am I going to be able to impact my line mates? How are we going to be able to, together, the three of us, be able to change momentum, help keep momentum, all these things. So it was a treat. That, like I said to Sonny when I retired, I wish, we had an opportunity to play together longer, that he was either older or I was younger, because he's a very intelligent hockey player, great brain, seemed to show up at the exact right time, at the exact right place. It makes the game very easy. And then Barbie was, played with such fire and determination. He's got I think you see now in Vegas his scoring ability is, he's got a sneaky scoring ability. He's got a hard shot and all these things. So it was just, I think the way that we complemented each other too was just started making an impact, and the more that grew, we were like, wow, we're gonna try and be a difference here.
Real quick question about Sonny. Do you think because of the style of play in which that he, he is a rock'em sock'em robot out there, man. But do you think he doesn't get enough credit for, as you were saying, being the smart hockey player that he is? Because obviously you just said it as well. That guy seems to put himself in the right place seemingly all of the time. Yeah. And he's going to bowl through you to get there.
Yeah. Well, something he does really well, and I think that's, for us hasn't gone unnoticed, is how much he impacts younger players. The tendency with younger players is to make a little bit of mistakes here and there, but he's always so positionally sound that you won't really notice him as much, because he's always there to kind of break it up or make sure that it stays in front of us so that they have a chance to recover or regroup. And I know those guys see it, when they play with him, they notice that, wow, that could have ended up, in a situation, but he just showed up there, and that's what he's so great at. He's got a great brain, and he cares a lot. He loves playing in St. Louis. He cares a lot about his teammates, and I think it shows when he plays.
Alex, I've heard Jim Montgomery say that before about Sundqvist having such an impact on younger players. Is that a learned skill from a hockey player, or is that something that you just naturally have? Because we hear guys all the time try and be impactful for younger players, and sometimes it doesn't work.
I think a little bit of both. I think when you grow that heart for a city and an organization, and you've been around the team, you want everything to work, and part of that is fostering younger players. Like the greatest players I've played with, they've always had they always try and have an impact on the younger generation that's on their way in, and make sure that it's not solely about their own day and their own, production or, and I think Sonny's embodied that. He wants what's best for the organization. So he sees, an opportunity to help, he takes it.
So I looked it up last night. It's been a year since they made this announcement. We get a memo that says there's going to be a major announcement tomorrow at Enterprise Center. It's that Doug Armstrong's got 2 years left, and Alex Steen is going to be the GM in waiting. What's this year been like for you?
It's been great. A ton of fun, obviously. Honored to be back. Like, it's so nice to be back pulling on the rope with everybody again. When I was away, it's difficult not feeling like you're contributing. And I think last year I did it from afar, and this year being able to be around everybody. And again, the support you get from everybody inside the organization, outside the organization, the people that are involved, it's just it's a pleasure to work with people like this.
You know, every time you, and JR, you know this, Donny, you know this, listening to guys, every time you hear a player talk, you're like, oh, that guy's going to be a broadcaster, or oh, that guy's going to be a front office member. Every time we listen to you, Alex, is like, this guy's going to be a front office person at some point. It's either a coach or a front office, because I felt like you understood the game so well, and you were so knowledgeable about the nuances of things that go on behind the scenes and whatnot. Is that what kind of pulled you towards management, feeling like you understood a little bit more about the game?
I knew I always wanted to be in the game.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what that, when you're playing, you're in such a bubble, like you're so focused on that opportunity because at some point it's going to end. And then I never wanted to look back at it and be like, yeah, I was unfocused or I wasn't, you know, and I felt like I did that. Like I was almost, when I reflected over my career, I almost felt like I was too hard on myself.
Really?
But yeah, that's the one takeaway I had from it. But moving into this, it's been more, you know, and I don't know how to explain it. These are my guys. These are, you know, this is yeah, I enjoy working with everybody that I get the chance to work with Doug being my mentor, you know, Mr. Stillman and the ownership group, and how they not only embrace or I said they're so passionate about the game, but they're also competitive. Like, you know, our whole staff with, you know, starts with Tim Taylor, Ryan Miller, everybody that I work really closely with, down to the players, and very privileged. Yeah.
I've had the chance to meet Mr. Stillman one time.
Yeah.
And I've told this story a couple of times, and it was, of all things, at a Smashing Pumpkins concert at Steeple Theater. And it was actually during that 2019 season, but it was before you guys caught.
Yeah.
All right? So I am legitimately at the bar getting a drink in the VIP area, and Mr. Stillman's there, and so I introduced myself as a big fan. And he said to me, thank you for being a fan. I'm sorry things aren't going the way that we want them to right now, but we're really trying. Yeah. And I'm like, this guy doesn't know me from Adam. And the fact that he took that minute to tell me that, and then also the way that he fist bumps and pumps when he's, you know what I mean? Like, I know that this guy is not faking it. He is the real deal.
Did he have a bedazzled Smashing Pumpkin shirt on too?
No, sir.
That would be great.
No. That would be kind of fun.
Tucked into blue jeans, ready to go.
I want to ask Alex about this team this past year. It was a bit of a roller coaster ride for fans at times, but in hindsight, even though Game 7 is still something that is tough to take, I am so unbelievably proud of this team and so excited for the future. These young players, when you see Jimmy Snuggerud, who was in college like a month ago, coming out and playing in a first-round NHL series and looking like he belongs, there are just so many reasons for optimism. As this season kind of went on and ebbed and flowed and ups and downs, did you see the team, A, making the playoffs, and B, making it real difficult for Winnipeg as they did?
I think the belief in the group is there. I think throughout the course of the year, I think they started realizing, or as a group as a whole, I feel like we were going through these ebbs and flows, but learning and digesting the information we were given on what we were doing well and what we weren't accomplishing. And towards the end of the year, I do. How do I put it? I enjoy seeing the disappointment, because they set themselves up. They put themselves in a situation where we were in that position we were in, and we allowed it to slip through. You know what I mean? And I agree with you. The optimism is huge, but we do need to understand the work that was put in to get ourselves into that moment and not think that that's just going to automatically happen again. We have to start fresh again. Day one at camp, I think the sharpness we had at the very, very beginning needs to be upped a little bit going into next year. So if we step into this sharp and ready to go, then I do think, though, that there has to be a fresh look at it. You know what I mean? Like, we have to come into this hungry again.
It sounds super negative to say, but you've experienced this hurt before as a player. For those guys, you kind of have to experience something like that before you can kind of take that next step.
Yeah, if you learn from it. Yeah. You got to go through things like that. And or you will. It's the, not you got it, you will. Like it's a career is up and down. You'll go through stuff. There'll be difficulties, and there'll be times where you're like, feels like it's just, we're in a rhythm right now, you know? And to your point about Snuggie, like he comes in, he played unbelievably. But the guys had set up like a pretty good environment for him to step into too. And the impact that environment has on a player like Jimmy when he comes in like that, that's a big thing for the group to have had accomplished.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
So.
Alex, talking about you being a player and knowing that feeling, you know, you look at the list of GMs around the league, there's a bunch of ex-players, Chris Drury, Mike Greer, others. Do you think being a player and going through those experiences on the ice can help you in your position? And if so, how?
Yeah, I think all your experiences are going to help you one way or the other. The hockey side of it is going to seem quicker for me than the other parts of it. But again, that's why I'm so privileged to work with the people I work with. Like the support system, I have the opportunity to sit down and slow things down and walk through maybe things, ideas that I have, why they don't make sense in this scenario or why they do make sense. And everybody's, you know, has been willing to sit with me and slow things down like that. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's, yeah, for me, it's all about the people we work with. It's what makes it so pleasurable, but also, you know, biggest thing for me this season I found was trying to find my own rhythm and like momentum in it.
Yeah.
And they made it really easy for me to find that. So.
Do you find yourself watching the game differently now, like as a front office person versus when you were a player?
Yes and no. Like sometimes I catch myself almost watching it like a coach or a player, and other times that, you know, you step back and you look at like a more of a segment, and yeah, but I think that's natural. I think it's, you know, I enjoy the game so much. It's been my biggest passion since I was 3 years old.
Because I personally feel like that would be such a difficult task, because Doug talks about it all the time of how he has to take like the 300,000 foot view of watching the game. And for somebody who is a player, it's got to be tough to where like you're seeing certain elements. It's like, yeah, I can understand how that happens. But from a front office, it's bigger picture. What are we looking at here?
Yeah. At the same time, like sometimes I feel like I have a good relationship with a lot of the guys, and sometimes there's small little things that I see and I, you know, have you thought of this? And I didn't even notice that, or you know what I mean? Like and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you sit at that. I don't know. I haven't really analyzed myself in that way, maybe, but I do understand the question, and yeah, I do both. I think, yeah.
I want to ask specifically about this stream of amazing young players that the Blues now have. It seems as though you guys, not that there was a blueprint, but that there was a type of person and player in which that you were looking for before we drafted or brought them in here. Because it seems like in Bolduc, in Snuggerud, in Dvorsky. Neighbors. You've got these guys that are staying after practice, that are doing extra drills, that are looking for ways to constantly get better as the season goes on. And it feels to me that this is like sort of a particular thing that the organization has in mind, that we want these types of guys.
Yeah, I think, again, our staff puts a big emphasis. Our amateur staff has done a terrific job of drafting high-quality players, but high-quality individuals. They carry themselves with humility, and the respectful kids, and I think they observe and they learn from the older leaders of our group, and I think that's something that's really sunk into the foundation this season, is exactly what you're talking about. Not just doing what is asked, but looking for more. How can I find this? How can I invest more into myself? How can I invest more into the team? And it's a contributing factor to the results that you ended up seeing towards the end of the year. But those are the things that, you know, staying at the end of practice, I get that you guys see, but there's a lot of other things that went on throughout the course of the year that, you know, ultimately builds you into the confidence and the play that you saw at the end.
Well, and you can also just kind of see and hear in the things in which that they're saying since the season is over. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The anger, the disappointment, you just can see how much they want it. And it's just, as a Blues fan, it gets me excited. Yeah. Because with a good start next year, ooh, baby.
Yeah.
You know, like who knows what this team could do? Because honestly, and I'll be very forthright, I did not, you know, before Four Nations, I did not necessarily think that this was a playoff team. And then all of a sudden, this like sort of metamorphosis all happened at one time, and you're like, I don't know where these guys have been all year, but I am completely on board. And it's just really, it was really just a lot of fun to watch, even with the ending being as gnarly as it was.
Yeah. No, I understand. And then again, I think that the players really understood the amount of work that they put in to get there. That wasn't something that just happened overnight, and it takes time, and you have to slowly build it, and you know, in these increments that I know have been discussed, and that's the view we have on it. Like we made progress this year, but we got to reflect and look back on everything that we did, how hard it is in the NHL to win in this league, what it takes, how much extra we did, the investment we put in ourselves, and then we have to start day one doing it again.
Donny said there's been a lot of good young players coming through the system. Seems like an abundance of Swedes, don't you guys think? A lot of Swedes coming in.
Like, that draft where the first round where it was Stenberg and Lindstein, and Doug afterwards, he was like, well, Steener helped us with this one. I'm like, yeah,
a lot of Swedes. And it reminded me, you know, the alumni area back at Steen, nice area that you guys have back there. And Bobby Plager, Mr. Plager, took me back there one time just to show it to me. And you know how they have the pictures, the action shots of different players throughout the room. And he said, see there, I'm back in the corner. They got me in the corner. You're not going to see any Swedes in the corner back there. So anyway, I just had to pass that one. What Bobby said.
Bobby with a quote every single time you possibly get that one. I know we only got a couple more minutes, Steener, and we really appreciate you doing this. I am curious on the development side, though. What's that been like for you working with these younger guys and seeing that side of the game for you now?
It's been great. I spent the whole last year mostly working with 5 guys. When Devo moved over to North America, it was a little less with him, just time difference, and Dags was around and Thorburn on this side that helped him a lot. But it gave me a great relationship with the guys. It's such a fun. It has been such a great experience working with these guys, and now seeing them grow and develop, and come to Springfield and started their pro careers in Springfield. So it's been again the quality of the people that we've been drafting is exceptional. It's been their pleasure to work with. They're hungry. That humility, the gratefulness, like they're great kids. It's a lot of fun working with them.
All right, so it would not be a Blues podcast if I didn't get a little bit petty on some other NHL.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
So I know that you can't fully answer this question, Alex, and I understand this, but when I think of going to Nashville to watch a Blues and Predators game, I don't allow myself to do it because I don't trust myself to not get into a fight in that arena. I despise the Nashville Predators, and it hurts to say because I love Ryan O'Reilly. Are there teams that, and again, I know you can't say because you have to do trades and things like that.
Get my recorder out here.
But are there teams? Are there things where you just go, God dang it, I don't like that guy. I don't like that team. I don't want to see him win.
Why are you looking at me?
See, this is the fan thing that you get from the professionals and then the guy. But I mean, there's got to be some of those in there for you where you're just like, I don't like that sweater. Period.
I don't know about the sweater, but there's definitely from my playing time, and quickly removed. So there is that. I don't think that rivalry will ever really leave me. Like there is a sense of rivalry, but at the same time, you do have to take the emotion out of it and be objective. The end goal is St. Louis Blues. That's my number one.
We told you, Steener, before we weren't going to pepper you with hard-hitting questions. You didn't know that one was coming at you, though.
No, but that's part of everybody's competitiveness, I feel like. And the rivalries and that means something to me, too. But, as long as the focus is on, our logo and our team and our city, then,
That's one of the great parts about our division, too. I didn't mean to interrupt you, JR, but, there's so much good competition, so many teams to hate.
This is Donny. He's great. This is why we love doing the pod.
He hates a lot of people.
Either this is going to help us get another guest, or it's not one of the two. I don't know.
Hey, I'm going to have you guess here. I have a question. I don't know. You can tell which one of us is the fan here, but that's got got to be the one thing going from a player to management. You know, Doug does such a great job of watching from 35,000 feet. Yeah. Like he avoids, you know, the quick reaction to thing because fans are talking about whatever. Has that been or will be an adjustment for you in terms of just understanding that you can't overreact to what the fans are thinking and saying?
Not really. I think you know, even as a player, you have to find a way to control your emotions all the time. And I don't feel like I was an overly emotional player either. It's the process of what you're doing things in. So games is almost like I don't know how to put it. It's almost like stepping on a scale to see. You know,
hey, let's not talk about that.
But it's like it gives you a feedback on where are we, like, and then you make the adjustments afterwards. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's not like, and of course there's games where you're emotional right after, but that ends pretty quickly. Like you go through so much as even in the summers, you go through stuff as an athlete. Something happens, you get an injury or something. Now you have to rehab. Like you have to react to all these things all the time. So I think the intensity of being an elite athlete for that long is something that, you know, I don't know. Does that answer?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Steen, final one from me. Is there an area of the game that maybe you didn't value as much as a player that now, looking at it from a different lens, maybe you value a lot more in the NHL?
Give me an example.
So maybe like the development of players and how long that takes, or the understanding of locker room chemistry from a player versus.
I think the amount of work that everybody, like the amount of, I don't think when you're in that bubble I was talking about, you don't completely comprehend and understand the amount of stuff that's going on around you. You're so focused on, I have to accomplish this in order to be ready for tomorrow, you know, with our group. And you kind of end up in that locker room. Whereas when you come outside it and you start, you know, seeing everything, you're like, wow, this is, you know. So that's been probably, don't want to say it's not something I didn't value and now I value. You know, it's just, I don't think you comprehend the immense work and thoughts and everything that everybody puts into wanting the team to be great. You know?
Well, listen, this has just been absolutely fantastic. And hopefully, maybe, Alex, we can do this again.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you enjoyed yourself,
we can do it again. Away.
All right.
Not yet. Donny's like, did that question push him over the edge? I got to gauge this a little bit more.
Well, because what's going to happen is as soon as we leave, I'm going to be like, oh, God, why did I say that? But listen, real talk here, Alex, from Blues fans everywhere, we are so excited. We're excited for you to be taking the position next year. We're excited for this team, you know, in the next hockey season. So we are just feeling like we're in a really good spot in our Blues fandom, and we're really excited to see what you're going to bring to the table as the general manager.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me. We hope to make you guys proud.
Well, it's the Last Minute Blues podcast, joined by Alex Steen, Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic, Alex Ferrario from 101 ESPN. I'm Donny Fandango. As always, thanks for listening to the podcast, and let's go Blues.
The Last Minute Blues podcast. Hear more at 1057thepoint.com.